What is going on, guys? It is Wrestlelamia here, back with another video. As the go-home show for WWE Wrestlemania, as superstars from the blue and red brand meet for the last leg of the road to WrestleMania 38. What thrills and chills should fans expect, and will a certain someone from AEW show up? Well, join us now as we look at this week's edition of the red brand, as well as the wildest news stories and rumors you need to know, including Brock Lesnar invited to join AEW, Finn Balor banished to main event, WWE releases a Vince is an asshole t-shirt, and much more. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for daily wrestling videos, and follow us on Facebook for exclusive lists. As always, we start off with the good, as number 1, KO crushes it. And why is Kevin Owens so insistent on making fun of Stone Cold Steve Austin? Well, fans found that out last night when KO explained he's the closest fans will ever get to seeing Stone Cold of the Attitude Era, and that the Austin of today is a beat-up, hard-drinking shell of his former self. In a nutshell, it's the classic wrestling tale of an active wrestler dismissing a legend as far past their prime, and the veteran saying, uh-oh. Owens' comments that Austin had better know his place when he appears on the Kevin Owens show was a final component of what fans expect to be Kevin's comeuppance this Saturday. Number 2, Roman's rage. Now, Roman Reigns was all business, as last night he recalled his long WrestleMania record with Brock Lesnar, but reminded the Beast he's in God mode. He's upgraded his advocate, turning him into a wise man, and that his battles with Lesnar have always been personal. Lesnar's promos were adequate at best, while Roman showed why his trash talking has reached greatness on a different level. Number 3, Tag Team Thriller. A last night's Survivor Series rematch between the Usos and RK Bro was another example of how good both teams are in terms of teamwork and the ability to work well with any opponent. They wisely ended this inconclusively, as there was nothing to gain from having either team win. Instead, the match served as an entertaining exchange while pushing the program between RK Bro and the Street Profits, along with the Usos versus Nakamura and Boogs. The only downside was having RK Bro not only deliver a post-match beatdown to the Street Profits, who interfered in the match, but doing so in a decisive manner. Number 4, The Almighty Strikes. Is Omos going to fall before Bobby Lashley at WrestleMania? Well, that's a good question, as the WWE had the Almighty do what other superstars haven't been able to do, take the big man off his feet. This one spot was all the WWE needed to create the potential for Lashley to deal Omos his first loss, and for fans who want to watch this battle of the bullies. Number 6, a good build-up for WrestleMania. Last night's Raw was the second straight week of brilliant build-up for WrestleMania. As we noted last week, this week's SmackDown is a pre-show of sorts, so Raw is the go-home show for both the Blue Brand and Raw. They blended promos, run-ins and good matches into a 3-hour show that masterfully set things up for this weekend's show of shows. Number 7, Bianca the Barber Belair. And just when it looked like the WWE couldn't build up Bianca versus Becky's feud, it took things to the next level by having Belair play Brutus the Barber Beefcake, cutting some of Big Time Bex's hair. Granted, the Raw Women's Champion had it coming as she tried to cut Belair's long ponytail first, but it showed just how personal this feud has become. In all likelihood, Lynch will retain this weekend, but the hair-cutting segment was a great way to show Belair is no hapless babyface and can give as good as she gets. Number 8, plenty of promos. Raw featured a number of promos, and while this would normally be a bad thing, nearly every promo was a strong one. Raw had to walk a fine line between teasing WrestleMania's various matches without the show seeming like 3 hours of run-ins and brawls. The promos not only built the hype for Mania, they reminded the fans that the WWE has a number of excellent talkers. And lastly, protecting the Viking Raiders. Now, the Viking Raiders haven't been doing much of late, so things look especially bad when the WWE booked a handicap match between them and the monstrous Omos. The match ended in a counter after Eric rolled out of the ring following clothesline by Omos, but right now there are rumors that Eric might have been injured, which led him to ending the match early. If so, it's unlikely the WWE planned on protecting Eric and Ivar. Whether or not the finish was fortuitous or by WWE design, it protected a team that shouldn't be jobbing so much. It's understandable that they want to elevate Omos, but they shouldn't make their entire roster look weak. Done that enough with Brock Lesnar and, to a lesser extent, Roman Reigns. But that was a good what about the bad, as number 1, Brock bungles. Brock Lesnar's extended promo served as a painful reminder why the Beast was paired with Paul Heyman for so long. While Lesnar's promo had its moments, including one where he brought up ass kicker Steve Austin but noted Austin never kicked his ass, and also breaking his voice at the end of his promo, Brock was clearly uncomfortable cutting a lengthy promo, and thankfully the fans didn't turn on him. Lesnar's remarks about how the two titles would clash at Mania and produce a baby, i.e. the unified title, were surreal but slightly silly. Lesnar has a gift for comedy, but he hasn't mastered the microphone when it comes to taking up more than a minute of the fans' time. Number 2. Lifeless Logan. Was Logan Paul suffering from sleep sickness? How else to explain his lifeless presence during The Miz's match against Rey Mysterio? If Logan wanted to show he may not be the best ally for The Miz by remaining indifferent at ringside while the Mysterios double-team The Miz, he overplayed his hand. Let's just hope he shows some life this weekend, or The Miz is going to have to carry him to a passable match. Number 3. What? Was Raw a bad show? Well, by all accounts, no, so why did the fans feel the need to crap all over the show's various promos with their incessant want chants? That's understandable when fans do this to aggravate a heel, but the fans' venom seemed directed at anyone who was on the stick. The fans going into business for themselves didn't hurt the show, but it didn't help it any. Number 4. Lazy booking Exhibit A. 2 handicap matches on one show. As the WWE's lazy booking snuck into an overall strong show as Raw featured 2 handicap matches. 2-on-1 handicap matches are a good way to show just how dominant a monster heel or badass babyface are, but they should be used sparingly and never more than once on the same show. And ruining Ricochet. Why did the WWE have Ricochet lose to Austin Theory when the IC champion is defending the title in a triple threat match? Anyone who thinks the WWE is trying to push its secondary titles received a wretched reminder of how insignificant the Intercontinental and US Championship are. Not only did Ricochet look like a jobber, but right now US Champion Finn Balor isn't even on the card for WrestleMania. While he and Damian Priest will probably continue their feud with a match on the pre-show, it's looking as bleak as ever for the WWE's second-tier titles. Although there's nothing ugly, as last night's Raw was a good build-up for Mania that provided just enough drama to entice fans into watching this weekend's event without giving them the satisfaction of feeling feuds have been resolved. In wrestling parlance, Raw delivered plenty of sizzle but little steak, but now it's up to the WWE to deliver the steak on Saturday and Sunday night. What do you guys think of Raw this week? Let us know in the comments down below. Now let's move on to the news. Now, first story looks at Brock Lesnar invited to join AEW. Atop in the news today is a report that AEW is still interested in signing current WWE champion Brock Lesnar. You may recall talk of AEW trying to sign Lesnar after his contract expired in 2020, but Lesnar eventually re-upped with the WWE, returning at last year's SummerSlam. Nevertheless, you can be certain that AEW would love to sign the Beast, as during an interview with NBC Sports Boston, AEW's Wardlow discussed Lesnar jumping to his stomping grounds. I invite Brock Lesnar over to AEW anytime he wants. That's up there on the dream list, but my dreams in AEW, Kenny Omega is at the top of that list. Andrade, Pac, I think those are the top 3. In my opinion, those are the 3 of the best wrestlers in the world, and I live to be challenged. You know, I like to be challenged. I love to challenge myself. I love to see what I can accomplish, what I can overcome, so I would like to step in the ring with those 3 to really test myself. You can be certain that AEW President Tony Khan would break out the checkbook to sign Lesnar if he was available, but chances are the WWE would make Lesnar another offer he couldn't refuse just to keep him there. Next up, Finn Balor banished to main event. Where was the US champion Finn Balor this week? After all, shouldn't the WWE be hyping his match at WrestleMania? Oh wait, it appears Balor isn't on the schedule yet. But regardless of whether Balor appears this weekend, his recent appearance on Main Event, where he defended the belt successfully against Apollo Crews, was a reminder of how little the WWE thinks of him, which is a shame considering his talent and popularity. And finally, WWE releases a controversial t-shirt. And last but not least, the WWE looks to be capitalizing on the latest catchy quote from its fearless leader Vincent Kennedy McMahon. The shirt appears inspired by Vince's comments on the Pat McAfee about his reputation, as during the interview Vinnie Mac said, "If people think I'm an asshole, congratulations, I am." Our fans can preserve McMahon's admission by wearing a t-shirt with his bold claim, as well as a cartoon of Vince complete with horns coming out of his head. If nothing else, it should make up for the legendarily bad Vince Loves Rooster t-shirt that came out during his feud with DX. But there you have it folks, our look at the good, the bad and the downright ugly of Raw this week, as well as the wildest news stories and rumors you need to know. Be sure to leave your comments down below, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.